Today on Locked On Red Wings, Detroit is 9-4 and tied for first in the Atlantic Division, but is the best still yet to come.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Scotty, we got an off day today, and we'll, of course, wrap up the episode by talking about the Golden Knights, the final episode, or the final game of this long road trip. But today, with the extra time, I want to kind of take a look at the quick snapshot that has been the Red Wings season so far, 13 games, 9 wins, 4 losses, and talk about why, while they're winning and they're playing hot, they're actually not, they may not even be playing to their fullest potential yet still. So they're underperforming what some data suggests, which is a good thing when you're a 9-4 hockey team, because that means the best could be yet to come. We'll talk about that on today's episode. Before we can get to that, though, got to let you guys know today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Scotty, the Detroit Red Wings are tied atop the Atlantic Division. Technically, they're second place by points percentage because the Montreal Canadiens has played one fewer games and lost one fewer game by consequence. But the Red Wings sit there with 18 points, right atop the division, right atop the Eastern Conference. Of course, every single team in the Eastern Conference has a points percentage above 500 right now because it is an insane. We were worried about the Atlantic Division. The whole conference apparently wants to make it difficult this season. But the Red Wings are playing well, right? And some games better than others. But you look to the game on Sunday where they won 3-2 in a shootout. And I think that game's almost a perfect example of kind of what I want to get at with this conversation, in which the Red Wings pretty much dominated that game by shot attempts, by actual shots, by expected goals, right? The win-o-meter said they would have won 75% if that game had been played 1,000 times. And they had like 65% of the total shots, expected goals, blah, 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 blah. But they only won 3-2 in a shootout. And it's kind of the perfect point I want to make when I talk about the data, and that the Red Wings at 9-4 could still be playing better. And there's some information and analytics that suggest that that is possible. And now, unless you want to add anything in here before I begin, I can lay it out here for you.
No, please. I mean, this is, the main event of the evening. So you take it away and lay out everything. It is interesting. It's an interesting conversation to have because I think that there are I don't want to say pros and cons, but like there's stuff to take away from it and there's stuff maybe not to. I think it's an interesting outlook on the season so far for sure.
Well, and it's funny because I'm going to lay all this out, and when I wrap it up, I'm going to say something that we have said before. And you're going to go, that makes sense. So the Detroit Red Wings at 5-on-5, and I want to make this aware. This is all at 5-on-5, so take that data with that in mind. They are 10th in the NHL at shot attempt share. That is Corsi for percentage, but shot attempt share I think is a more easily consumable way of understanding it. It is the amount of shot attempts your team takes versus the shot attempts against your team faces at 5-on-5. And the Red Wings have a percentage of, 52%. With that number, you want to be over 50% in general. The Red Wings have the 10th best at 52%. Their expected goals, which then takes those shot attempts and tries to weight them based on where they occurred on the ice. And this data is all pulled by Natural Stat Trick. So sometimes expected goals especially is a little different from site to site. But according to Natural Stat Trick, at 5-on-5, the Red Wings' expected goals percentage is 7th in the NHL at 5-on-5, which gives them an expected, which is a 53.6% amongst the top 10 in the NHL in expected goals for versus against. That is an incredible number. that the Red Wings have been able to continually kind of have the advantage in that. That showcases again that they're not just getting the quantity, but they are getting high quality number of chances as well. There is a little bit of a cumulative factor with that as well, because every single shot attempt is assigned an expected goal number. So if you vastly out attempt your opponent, of course you'll have a higher number of expected goals. But of course the grade A chances attribute more to it than, your shots from along the board. But the Red Wings are 7th, where their shot attempts are 10th when it comes to expected goals. They're 9-4. You would think, okay, 9-4, that makes sense that those numbers are very high. Their actual goals percentage, not shot attempts, not expected goals, their actual goal share, goals for versus goals against, ranks 28th in the NHL, Scotty, with a goals for percentage of 44%. You're probably sitting there and wondering, now how is that a good thing if you're the Detroit Red Wings? What that says to me is the Red Wings are winning despite bad luck. That their expected goal share, and some people could interpret this differently, but the way I'm interpreting this, and I could be an idiot, I am an idiot, but the way I'm interpreting this is that the expected goal share is showing you Red Wings should be performing way better in the goals for versus against category than they currently are, which means they are winning hockey games with bad luck, which means they are underperforming at a points percentage of .697, which means to me, the best is yet to come. But wait, there's more, Scotty. Give you the old. They're 31st in PDO, which is essentially the luck statistic. Basically takes your shooting percentage and your save percentage. The Red Wings are 31st in PDO at 5-on-5, with a PDO that comes in at 96%, 97%. Now, that is a number that historically has always come back to 100, whether you're above or you're below at any point in the season. Some teams break that mold. The Vancouver Canucks of a couple of seasons ago finished the season with a PDO of like 1-1, which is incredible. But most of the time, it comes back to level. This is another indicator that while the Red Wings are 9-4, they're actually getting bad luck throughout the early season here and could have more left in the tank, and the best could be yet to come. And they're 24th in the league at 5-on-5 shooting percentage, which means when they're taking shots, they're just not finding the back of the net. So, Scotty, when I say all this to you, how does that come across to you? Like, does that not give you a glimmer of hope that they could even still be better yet?
So, yes and no. So, hear me out. I think, look, I am obviously the host of Locked On Tigers as well. I'm very integrated in, advanced baseball analytics as well as now hockey, as it's become a lot more popular over the last few years. And like, nobody loves a good data point like I do. Okay. I'm very, very far from anti-analytics. I think they're a fantastic tool, and it's all about just knowing what they're saying. And I think that in this case, this is something that is a positive, because it means that they are playing a very, maybe consistent isn't the right word, because we have seen some games where they've just completely.
Well, yeah, that happens to everyone.
But like, they are, over the course of 13 games, they are 9-4, and they are playing a good brand of hockey. They are playing they are executing, for the most part, the way that they want to. Now, in the same breath, I think it's important to realize what a lot of those numbers mean. And I think that a lot of the concerns that we have had for the Wings up to this point don't necessarily they are in line with those numbers, and they back those complaints or worries. And there's not exactly a guarantee that they fix themselves. One of the biggest ones is finishing. And that is a statistic that, you bring up all these analytics. That's awesome that they're getting opportunities. Okay. That is step one. right? If you're mapping out the road to a successful offense, you start with, let's make sure we are getting opportunities. And the Lalonde style was not that. It was not to create opportunities or consistently create opportunities.
It was to prevent opportunities for the other team.
It was low event hockey, right? This is a lot more aggressive and faster pace. And the Wings, in almost every game, there's only, I think, 2 games I can think of off the top of my head so far this year where I've really felt like they were just not getting opportunities the entire game. And they still won one of them. So, like, that is awesome that they are in a position where they're consistently applying pressure, getting the puck in the offensive zone, and getting good opportunities to score. However, just because they are getting good opportunities to score doesn't necessarily guarantee that they are ever going to consistently put the puck in the back of the net with those opportunities and take advantage of said opportunities. That is not a promise. Now, it's easier to score when you have good opportunities than when you don't, obviously, but that's still not a guarantee. You can have opportunities and not score in the game of hockey, and I think that's important to remember. There's another point that I want to bring up as well, but I know we got to get to a break, and I don't want to have 18-minute into the show first ad break.
Well, don't worry. The actual data element for those people who don't dislike the data, that's done. We're into the full conversation bit. You did mention the finishing too. That was the word, and I want to add on to that in segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings. So stay tuned. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why you got to start using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It's going to help you organize your accounts, track your spending, and even get a better handle on investments without having to touch a spreadsheet. You're going to love how you can review everything with your partner, see your shared goals, and make better financial decisions together. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where your money is going and how to make it work harder for you. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Yes, Scotty, the big question I was going to ask you after my first question, which, you then flowed very naturally into answering it before I could get there, was why did you think that there is such a discrepancy between expected results and the actual results?
Right.
And
Same
the actual
answer,
results are
question. Right.
Right. Same. The results are they're up 9-4, but it's a lot closer than the data is saying it should be. It was finishing, and that was something that we've harped on quite a bit. The Red Wings have been put in so many opportunities early on in the season to score goals that they've missed on. And I can think of so many off the top of my head. Again, that's why I said it at the beginning of the show, that San Jose game yesterday, or Sunday rather, is the prime example of what I'm talking about. A game in which the Red Wings dominated the stat sheet all game long, but only won by 1 goal because Emmett Finney had 5 shot attempts in that game. All 5 of them registered as scoring chances. He had a .64, I believe, expected goals all by himself, but he didn't score. How many times has Andrew Kopp had a puck come to him in a grade A opportunity in the slot, and he's either hit the side of the net where the net was wide open or just fanned on it altogether? The Red Wings are putting themselves in great opportunities, or all the shot attempts that Alex DeBrincat took to start the season before he finally found his scoring stroke. So that is really where the discrepancy shows to me. And again, the team's shooting percentage at 5-on-5 was bottom 10 in the league. And that's because they struggle to finish those shots. So that you got to it there, and that's 100% why I think that these numbers are such a vast discrepancy. You brought up a good point in that expected goals is great. You can see that they should be playing better, but it doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot until those pucks find the back of the net. Right. And while I do believe the other shoe will drop to some degree, pucks will start finding the back of the net a little bit more consistently, there's not a guarantee that happens either. So
player to player.
Well, yeah, no, but like what I'm just trying to
Like
say is,
Kat is not going to shoot 2% this year, but
like
like
she's doing right now, which is
right
crazy.
at the same time, I don't, I don't think Larkin was on pace for like 50 goals at one point a few games ago. Like I don't think
Right.
that's going to happen either. So like I think there's yeah, water will find its level a little bit with that kind of stuff, but in the same breath, there is no guarantee that Andrew Kopp, turns around and starts putting the puck in the back of the net more consistently. There is no guarantee that JT Compher is a consistent depth scorer. There's a lot of guys in the bottom six that is very far from a guarantee from. And so I think that's a very articulate point to bring up when having this conversation. The second one that I wanted to bring up was goaltending. And while I'm not here to like bash the goaltending or say that it's terrible or anything, the Wings are in the bottom, I believe it's eight or nine in the entire NHL just in goals against the game, which is very simple and not a super advanced statistic. And we've had certainly some really good performances. But in terms of the production they have received just on a very base, simple level of save percentage and goals against average, they find themselves in the bottom third of the league in both of those stats. And so it's another thing where, obviously we talked about the finishing. That is something that it could end up fixing itself, and this could be a really, really effective team that gets a lot of opportunities, and it's a really good offense. It's also just, all I'm saying is it's not a guarantee, not that it won't happen, just it's not promised. And I think that that's a similar conversation with the goaltending, right? I would like to think that the goaltending will end up grading out better than what it has so far. Talbot's, season has been pretty respectable. He's got a save percentage around 900. Gibson, I think, is certainly, if you include the opening night game, like his stats aren't spectacular, and there's a little bit left to be desired in that regard. We talked about how we didn't think he looked very good against Anaheim. If you want him to be the true bell cow to the net, then he's going to have to just straight up, put up better numbers than what he's done so far. But that's not impossible to fathom, right? Like you acquired him for a reason. You have expectations that he will do that. I'm not sure I would plant a flag on November 4th and say that it's a guarantee either. That's the only bit of nuance I want to throw into those numbers is just they're great. They're awesome. They tell a story. And that's that the Wings are getting more opportunities than we have ever been used to since you and I have started hosting this show at 5-on-5. However, it is also not a guarantee of, just because these numbers are this definitely means that the Wings will get even better than what they've already done, because I think there's just, again, a lot of nuance in that conversation.
Yeah, and there is nuance in that goaltending conversation too, because the team's save percentage at 5-on-5 is 29th in the league for the Detroit Red Wings, and that is at 88.5%. So that 0.885 save percentage for the Detroit Red Wings at 5-on-5, but you can't blame the goalies with just save percentage. That's why goal saved above expected was invented. Sometimes you give up a ton of grade A chances. You look at the game against the Montreal Canadiens, or the game against Anaheim, or even the 2 goals against San Jose on Sunday. There were a lot. Well, the game against Anaheim, I think John Gibson was straight up pretty poor, so that's not a great example of what the point I'm trying to get at here is. But you've seen where defensive breakdowns can put your goalie in a really crappy situation. But if you insulate him well enough, he's able to get you good performances. The game against San Jose, the 2 goals that Cam Talbot allowed, which had him at a save percentage that was below 900, what did you want him to do? It was an incredible tip, and then a blocked pass caused chaos out front. So, on both those plays, I don't blame Talbot. I thought he played fantastic out of that. And to your point there, Talbot's been good. Gibson has left stuff to be desired. On Evolving Hockey, of the 67 qualified goaltenders, Cam Talbot ranks 30th in the NHL for goals saved above expected at 2.09. So that's a cumulative stat. So across the season, he has saved 2.09 more goals than he should have. while John Gibson comes in at 53rd with negative 0.9, almost a full goal extra that he's allowed. But even that is kind of within that margin of error, less than a goal, less than a negative goal, one way or the other, where you can say, okay, he is going to still rebound. So the goaltending, while it hasn't been great, it hasn't been terrible either. It hasn't been the giant sword that it has been in years past.
Yeah, they're
Cam
9-4.
Talbot's been good. Yeah, Cam Talbot's been good, and Gibson's been, he's been a little bit hit or miss, but when he's terrible, it's not 100% his fault either. And then you look at the big thing, too, is the Red Wings had the worst penalty kill save percentage last year. On the penalty kill, they could not buy a save from their goalies. So let me just take a peek at that. I don't have this ready, but I can easily get this fixed up. Let's see where their penalty kill save percentage is right now. Their penalty kill save percentage, however, comes across 7th in the league. So this year, where their biggest mark was getting scored on the penalty kill, the goalies have been making saves. So goaltending, while it hasn't been perfect, has still been an improvement. Now, at the end of the day, at the end of the conversation, right, it comes down to these numbers mean nothing unless they can actually turn it around and turn it into something good. And if they can start finishing, then the suggested numbers will become the real numbers. But I do think it is not. We haven't seen 5-on-5 numbers look this good in a long time, and I think it's an indication of improvement.
For sure. And I think that is the overarching theme here is like, this is a positive. Like, this is not a bad thing. I bring up the points I bring up not to like sour or rain on the parade. Like this is a great thing that they are 9-4 and look as good as they do at even strength. That is literally something that you and I have not seen in our like 4 years, whatever, doing this now. Like this is a great sign for this hockey team that these numbers look the way they do. It's just when it's worded in the phrase of like, oh, like, will they even hit another level and get even better? It's like, well, I don't know about that. Like they're 9-4 with these numbers. I'm not sure that guarantees that they're gonna be even better, but it does show that there is still room for improvement.
Right.
And the fact that there is room for improvement when you're 9-4 and tied for first place is absolutely fantastic news. This is all good things.
100%. And I don't think you're evil for pointing out the flaws in the argument, because advanced analytics can only take you so far. If you're not scoring goals, you're not scoring goals.
Right.
And that's just the fact of the matter. So while I'm excited at the prospect that they could be better yet, to your point, they got to start doing it. That's why we play the games, right? That's why they always say. That's why you play the games. Scotty, let's head to another break. When we return, we'll talk about the Red Wings playing a game as they face the Golden Knights in Vegas on Tuesday. Stay tuned to segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets, easy and stress-free. I recently used Game Time to grab seats, you've heard me talk about it, to the Sergei Fedorov retirement night in January, and it couldn't have been simpler. I had great seats in minutes. I love using Game Time because when I go to pay, there's no hidden fees at checkout. I pick my seat, and the price they show me is the price I see at checkout, because the fees are included when you pick the seat. Plus, you can see exactly what the view is from your seat before you buy with their in-app seat view. Their zone deals are a game changer. You can pick the section, and Game Time will show you the best prices for that section. You can even find NHL tickets for under $25. Take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Scotty, the Red Wings play the Vegas Golden Knights here on Tuesday. By the time people are listening to this, it will be Tuesday. The final 10:30 p.m. start of the road trip. It's going to be another late one. Probably won't be getting to bed till 3 a.m. for us personally because we'll have to record right after. But the Red Wings are 3-1 on the road trip thus far. Look to end on a positive note, playing a very good Vegas Golden Knights team, probably one of the favorites to win the Stanley Cup. They're 6-2-3, tied for first in the Pacific Division with Edmonton, and don't look now, the Anaheim Ducks, young and fun. You got to love that for them. And they're led up front by Jack Eichel with 19 points in 11 games and Mitch Marner with 14 in 11 games. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the Golden Knights, Scotty, how are the Red Wings going to have to tackle beating them on the road?
I mean, this is a good team. It's a good team that's been a good team and for a few years now and has a very, very deep lineup, and that's kind of how they beat teams. They're 6-2-3 at the time of this recording. I don't know if they play Monday night, if this is a back-to-back situation or not, but they're 6-2-3 as we record this. They're going to be the heavy favorites because it's in Vegas. Still no update on Patrick Kane as far as I'm concerned, so we'll see what happens in that regard. But yeah, this is just the kind of the epitome of jack of all trades. Like they have a good offense, they have a really effective defense, they have, I mean, over the last 3-4 years, like on and off effective goaltending. Like they are good on the special teams, like really both ends of it. Like they're just kind of in the top half in the league in literally everything. And so it's a team that you always have to bring your A game against, I think. And I say master of all, it's not to say like Jack Eichel already has a 10-10 season and we're like 13 games in. Like he already has, I think it's 10 goals and 12 assists, before the 15 game mark. So like they still have obviously high end, very, very good players. It's just they continue to be a deep unit on top of that. And we will see what they have to offer here for the Wings on Tuesday night.
And you know what's interesting about them, too, is like they're pretty middle of the pack in every statistical category. We were just talking about the discrepancy.
8 and 17, at least in the one that I have pulled up. They're all the like basic team stats. They're literally they're somewhere between 8th and 17th in literally all of them.
Yeah, they're 14th in Corsi. They're what did I see? In expected goals for percentage, they're 15th in actual goal share. They're 13th. Their PDO is, I think, middle of the pack as well. It's their penalty kill that I think is, let me go back over here. I have these other ones pulled up. Their penalty kill is 16th in the league, and their power play, this is where they're a little bit better. They're 9th in the league in the power play. So literally every statistical category suggests they're middle of the pack. But again, going back to the conversation we were just having, none of that matters.
Right.
If at the end of the day you walk out of the rink and you're a winner. And that has been the case for the Vegas Golden Knights early in the year here. They got 6 wins, 2 losses, 3 overtime losses. And that's the thing, too, about them in Colorado is they don't go down easy. If you beat them, you're probably going to beat them in overtime, as they have more overtime losses than they have regulation losses. Colorado, Scotty, and we're not talking about the Avalanche, by the way. I don't know if you saw this. They have 1 regulation loss and I think 5 overtime losses.
Yeah.
And they don't have any overtime wins. So if they take them to overtime, they're going to lose. I saw that earlier. I thought that was fascinating.
That's wild.
But you're right. We haven't gotten an update on Patrick Kane as of yet when we're recording this because the Red Wings probably, flying to Vegas, probably got an off day because there's been so many games in a short period of time.
Yeah. If there is an update, they wouldn't announce it until, a couple hours before the day of anyway.
We didn't talk about it, though, yesterday. We kind of neglected it with the 2 games to recap. But the Red Wings did recall Austin Watson. He's been with the team now for 2 games. That was in part because of the Patrick Kane injury and then sending MBN down. They had the extra roster spot available. I don't think he'll play in this game, though. I think he is kind of if this team gets absolutely pumped, then he'll get a game, or if somebody else gets hurt, he'll get a game.
Yeah, it's a break glass in case of emergency thing for sure.
Right. This is his role. This is Austin Watson's role. So you call him up when you have a guy out for a short period of time and you don't want to burn games on any of your young guys.
to do this. Yeah.
Right.
why they keep him around. Yeah.
All right. So, yeah. Any final thoughts?
We ball, baby.
We do ball. We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow. Same time, same place. Your team every day.